And so, with the magic of second takes,
We're back to it.
we're back to it. On the CNN thing, it was one of those groups of individuals getting together and talking about the publishing industry. And they were talking about when Warner came out with the sequel to Gone with the Wind and the Madonna picture book, whatever it was called.
Sex,
and anyway, they knew they had two things that would get panned in the reviews, and so they refused to send out review copies. So all of us, of anything, they didn't want to send them out of that, and they declared they had reached the era of non-reviewable books, and so they didn't send out review copies. The only reviews I got on my trilogy, on my first Ground Heist trilogy, were all books that the person had gone out and bought themselves. And Farron Miller, I love you.
Farron Miller from Locust.
Yes. She was. So that left me when Aspect died, or not Aspect, but when Questar died and they went over to Aspect.
The Warner Publishing line.
The Warner Publishing line.
Warner Questar, which died and became Warner Aspect.
Correct.
Right.
When that happened, Betsy Walheim at DAW asked me if I wanted to come write for them, and we talked about it, and I decided to try a fantasy series rather than science fiction, because my science fiction is tied up in the Netwalkers universe. So I went over and I tried to come up with an idea for a fantasy book, and I was sitting there, and there was one of those perpetual motion concentric ring thingies that I had, that the magnet goes around and around and around, the things circle and circle. And I blew those up and turned them into my rings. I have rings, I have ley lines, I have magic that actually makes a buck. It's a power source that doesn't get along with electricity, and somebody tries to make an electrical power source, and that's one of the economic underpinnings of the series. I can't get away from my science background. But what I really wanted to do, I had done my story about an orphan, which a lot of writers do because family can get kind of in the way of a story. So it's easier to write a story about an only than it is about somebody with familial baggage. So I come from a big family, and I just thought it would be fun to write a story about brothers. And that's what the Ring books are primarily. I write very big, very complex novels with politics, with world building, with all that. Not a whole lot of description. I'm a lot more into character building. And the story is a lot about these three brothers who have been raised in very different ways because of changing family conditions, and it's a lot about sibling interfacing, and I get a lot of feedback from people. There are those who are right on, this is what it's like to be a sibling, and those who are, no, this is just so unbelievable, and all the, no, this is so unbelievable, are all onlys. I love my siblings, I love being part of a big family, but it is not the fantasy that most people have. And I had a great deal of an odd kind of fun writing them, because as a writer you channel all the different characters, and so I got to be, instead of the fifth of six kids, I was both the eldest, a middle, and the baby, and which at various times in my life I have been. And the dynamic is fascinating, how even today my siblings think of me, and how we interact is so rooted in the past when we were all kids. And a lot of what I play with the character dynamics centers on that. The magic is the energy produced by the great big huge lithium rings cutting through the ley lines, which produces heat. And basically it produces heat, which also produces light and steam. It was steampunk before there was steampunk.
So the books, there were 3 of them from
There
Dawn.
were 3 of them from Daw. And there's now a 4th one that...
I didn't know about the 4th one.
Yeah, Alizant's story. That's where we really start to get into the introduction of the electrical aspect, the electricity.
I'm going to have to track down the cover.
That's on Closed Circle.
Okay.
It's also on Amazon. What I've got to do is get them all up on, some of the other Barnes and Noble and that kind of thing. But what happened? Life happened, and I live with C.J. Cherry, who got me writing in the first place. And after we did the graphic novel of Her Gate of Ivrel, and I had to write a bunch of scenes, plus I did the scripting for it from her book, and she decided when that quit that I should try writing. So try writing my own stuff. And I didn't know what to do, so she said, just write me a simple little 1-page outline, and I wrote a simple little 1-page outline, and she glanced at it. She says, okay, it was kind of nothing, space-born boy, bigoted boy goes down to planet and gets religion, finds out that the planetary-born people are not so bad, blows up ship in the end, this kind of thing. Very simple, just conceptual thing. And she said, okay, now take 2 characters, put them in a room together and see what happens. My question at the beginning of the day was, how does story happen? And my question at the end of the day was, how do you stop story from happening? So it was evidently the kind of thing that was brewing in my gut to do for a long time. And it is fun because I'm math, physics, anthropology, astronomy. I majored in all of those in college. And I'm fascinated by the puzzles of life. And writing is the one thing that just faces all that. It's one big puzzle after another, and how do you make it all make sense?
Now, your science fiction books, Uplink
Yes.
and Ground Ties books, the
Yes.
books that I first became familiar with you with,
Yes.
they are, they're fairly short, they're punchy, they're dramatic. The fantasy books are vast, they're ambitious. These are big books. And these were, your 4th, 5th, and 6th books? You were tackling, really broad...
I was tackling those in the Ground Ties books. You just weren't as aware of it because the one editorial comment that I got from my editor at the time was, make them shorter. Warner will not handle books this size.
Oh, so it really was...
original novel.
So this was just your natural length then?
Yeah. They are extremely complex. That's one reason after I did the prequel to them that I went back and rewrote all the others, because I put in all the stuff I had to take out.
Wow.
So
tell me about the rewrites. These books are now available again, in new editions.
Yes. As I say, life happened, and I continued writing, but I didn't really finish anything and get it to anyone. I wanted to resurrect the Ground Ties series, let's call it Netwalkers, which is what I call it now. I wanted that network, because in my soul, I'm a science fiction writer, more than fantasy, although I really love both series. And if you like one, really you'll like the other, because what I tackle in both of them, it's very, very character driven. And it's just that I really like space. And so basically several years passed. And when I tried to then take what I had written, it turned out it was too long since my last book had come out, and I had, if you want to call it a breakout with the Daw books, it still never established a large enough readership to make it viable to take a chance on me again. So I and C.J. Cherry and Lynn Abbey decided to create closed-circle.net for some of the backlist for Lynn and Carolyn and myself that was not being handled, and then the new stuff that we couldn't get published in New York for various reasons. And it was wonderful because I had not only the prequel to the Ground Ties books, I had the rewrites of all the other 3 books, and the Alizant, which is the next one in the Ring series, and Then the vampire book that my agent said he could sell anything with a vampire in it. And so I said, I can't write one of these, first-person female brief. This is not my style. I admire them.
This is late 2000s, right?
Late 2000s.
Yes.
And the kind of stuff like my best buddy in the world, in the writing world, other than Carol, and Patricia Briggs. I absolutely adore her, and she and I have struggled together, and then she hit the bestseller list, and she still loves me. So
I hate people like that.
I don't. I love her. So at any rate, what I did was I basically took, just shortly, the original Dracula and brought it into kind of Dracula written by a 20th century female living in Seattle rather than London. And I had a whole lot of fun creating the transformed, who, it's not easy to become a vampire, a transformed. You have to really, really want it and work at it. And it's much more self-controlled and self-determined. So I had a lot of fun with the my little pseudoscience of what makes them tick, and came up with a concept that would cover all kinds of vampiric tales. But it left my agent kind of scratching his head, and he didn't quite know what to do with it. So to heck with it. I liked it. I put it up there. So they're all up there on Closed Circle now. And finally, soon to come is the at last end of the Ground Ties series. There will be more in the series, but it is the wrap up of it, which is Homecoming Games. And it's done. I just have to get it processed.
Any idea of the release date on it?
No. What I'm probably going to do, I want to do one final rewrite, because I was ready to go with it last January, a year ago, and then had to. We got that thing with CJ's deadline, where I ended up working very closely with her on the next 2 Foreigner books.
Now, you are her first reader.
I am her first reader. I am her first reader. I write scenes when she gets. She'll turn it over to me, and I will write scenes, and we will talk about where it's going. I do some of the background research for her. I'm actually really good, because I haven't been that closely involved prior to these last 2 books. I was much more of a reader's perspective, so I was knowing what the readers needed to have wrapped up, and it became very valuable in these particular 2 books. And in fact, we're going to go on and do it. We're contracted. I think it's safe to say we're contracted with Daw to do another book that's directly linked to her Merchanter series, and we'll be doing it as a complete collaboration, an open collaboration, and it's good. I look forward to that greatly.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and so I'm going to get home, and I'll be going through to get back to Homecoming Games. I will be going through it one last time, and I'm thinking that what I might do is put it up on one of the sites, the donation sites or something, put it up a chapter at a time, and just do it that way until I have time to actually put it together with a cover and put it up on Amazon.
So the Ground Ties books, substantially revised and updated, are now available.
Yes.
The Ring Dancer books, also revised?
No.
As they were.
Available.
But available in new editions with new covers.
And in new editions with new covers, all as ebooks. I don't have anything yet as Dead Tree books.
Right. Homecoming, the 4th volume, coming out with no date yet.
Actually, it's a 5th volume, because the prequel, Netwalkers, is out there.
You are tough to keep up with.
And Netwalkers is actually split into. It's actually 2 books. I'm trying to remember what I ended up doing. On Amazon, it's up as Netwalkers Partners and Netwalkers Mentors of Mentors and Mimetrons. Wow. And because it was a very, very big book.
And finally, a collaboration with C.J. Cherry.
Yes.
So you have a lot in the pipe.
And we shoot.
And we should. Can we close? Shall we close with We Shoot?
I think we should close with our little mini Bren. We Shoot was given to me by one of my readers, and he has come into my life as a breath of fresh air, all my serious books and everything else. He is my house and garden elf. And he has about 60 little photo stories up on my website.
And on Facebook, right?
And he has a Facebook page. And his name is Wishu, Wiishu. And he is dressed now as Bren because Carolyn's going to be getting her Grandmaster Award. So he decided to cosplay Bren for her.
He is the most immaculately dressed little man that I have seen in quite some time. Good for you, Wishu. Jane, I want to thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This has been fun. I don't care that it took 3 days.
And multiple takes.
And multiple takes. Thank you.